Hi guys, welcome to the next vlog. Now in this particular vlog I want to discuss some tips to help you manage hunger more effectively within the context of a fat loss phase. I think there's probably two key reasons why people don't achieve their fat loss goals. One is a lack of results and people just give up, but the second reason why people typically go off track, they binge, they give up, is hunger. Typically this is just because people are being too aggressive with the energy deficit. However, there are some certain tactics that you can apply in addition to focusing on a slower rate of weight loss. So I've spoken about this many times before, focusing on a 0.5 to 1% weight loss target per week, because this will allow you to maintain as much muscle mass as possible within the fat loss phase. So in addition to that, focusing on some of these tactics to help manage hunger can really help massively within the context of the fat loss phase. Just allow you to adhere to the diet for longer and ultimately get better results. The first tip is what I apply myself within the fat loss phase, and it's what a lot of my coaching clients do, and that's essentially moving more of your calories later in the day. It's really important to note that, as mentioned before, fat loss is all about energy balance, making sure at the end of the day we're creating that calorie deficit and also creating that deficit over the course of the week, a month, and over a chronic period of time. That's really the key to fat loss, and that therefore means that with regards to nutrition, it's all about meeting calories and your protein target by the end of the day. It doesn't matter when these calories are consumed. It doesn't matter if you consume in the morning, the evening, the afternoon, spread throughout the day. It doesn't matter as long as you're meeting those targets. I usually say within approximately 10 grams of the protein target and approximately 50 calories of the calorie target. However, by moving more of your calories later in the day, typically that's when most people are more hungry, and therefore by doing that it can really help to blunt hunger later in the day. Most people typically aren't as hungry in the mornings, and therefore by having less calories in the mornings, more calories in the evening, so it can really help to blunt hunger. But in addition to that, it almost plays a psychological trick on you. Because you're eating more calories in the evening, you think you're not actually dieting, even though you'll still be within your daily calorie and protein figure. And that's something that I do personally. It helps tremendously. So this is relatively similar to an intermittent fasting approach, where you have, for example, an 8-hour feeding window, and then the rest of the time you're not having any calories at all. I'm not necessarily saying you have to apply the intermittent fasting approach where you're just not eating in the morning, but having less calories in the morning and then more calories in the evening can really help to blunt hunger. So give that a try. The next tip is to focus on increasing your fiber intake. Fiber helps to keep you fuller for longer, and therefore by trying to increase your fiber intake can really help massively within the context of a fat loss phase. So a good example is just trying to increase your fibrous vegetable intake is a great way to increase fiber within the diet. So trying to have plenty of fibrous vegetable, lots of green vegetables within every single meal can really help tremendously. The next tip is to focus on foods that are typically higher in volume. So a good example again would be fibrous vegetables, focusing on foods that typically have a low number of calories compared to their size, and that typically means focusing on mainly single ingredient whole foods. Typically whole foods are lower in calories compared to the amount of volume you can consume, and again similar to what I said about having more of your calories later in the day, it provides a psychological trick on you because you think you're eating more calories than you actually are. This also helps keep you fuller for longer, similar to increasing your fiber intake. The final tip is similar to what I just mentioned with regards to focusing mainly on single ingredient whole foods, but trying to minimize processed food can really help tremendously if you're struggling with hunger. Now keep in mind, something I've spoken about many times before is focusing on a flexible approach with regards to your diet. That therefore means having some processed food in moderation, because this can keep adherence high within the context of a fat loss phase. But if you're really struggling with regards to hunger, just trying to mainly just focusing on whole food can help to blunt hunger as opposed to having some processed food in moderation. Now, if you're not struggling with hunger within the fat loss phase, still feel free to have some processed food in moderation, as long as you're getting sufficient calories, sufficient protein, lots of micronutrients from lots of fruits and vegetables. There's no reason why you can't have some processed food in moderation. However, if you're an individual that's really struggling with hunger in the fat loss phase, it might be worthwhile really trying to focus on just whole food alone. Whereas, for example, if you're in a muscle building phase when calories are higher, it's much easier to fit in processed food within that context because hunger isn't an issue within that context. So hopefully these tips will really help you. I know this helps me tremendously within the fat loss phase, and also helps all of my coaching and personal training clients a lot as well, especially moving more of your calories later in the day. That really does make a huge difference because, as mentioned, most people are typically very hungry in the evenings, and if you're just placing more of your calories later in the day when you are hungry, then by default you're just going to blunt hunger when you're at your most hungry. So hopefully this has been useful. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care.